Kentucky home, and for the past week, Kentucky has been the home of the 41 greatest bass anglers in the country, competing here out of Louisville, Kentucky, on the Ohio River. In the 1987 Bassmasters Classic, the World Championship of Bass Angling. It started here Sunday when these anglers and their wives arrived for what is one of the most hectic weeks in sports competition.
I'm strong.
And in the preliminaries, the preamble, photo day, and interviews with the 90-some members of the International Press Corps attending this prestigious event. And the rules briefing, the fishing hours of the tournament, the geographical limits of competition, the size and number of bass the anglers can bring to the weighing scales during the 3 days of fishing. It's here where the classic anglers are assigned their press partners who will fish with them. And it's right here at Cox Park Landing in Louisville where they launch each morning to hopefully find a winning pattern on these Ohio River bass. And the same location they leave and return to every day, all week, including this morning, the final day of Classic 17. Great story in sports competition where there's only one winner, the world champion of professional bass angling, the Bassmasters Classic champion, the best of the best in the test of the best. And he'll be crowned right here in Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky very shortly. I'm Ray Scott. The Bassmasters Classic will be right back live from Louisville, Kentucky. Stay with us. Hit it.
The Bassmasters Classic, the test of the best. And for 3 days, the nation's best bass anglers have been going rod to rod to determine who is best, to decide who will reign as the Bassmasters Classic champion, the best bass angler in the world this year. Today is the last opportunity. The last time this year when the last cast can bring a bass angler the fame and recognition that comes with the Bassmasters Classic crown. These 41 contenders didn't arrive by a lottery, by pure chance. They earned the right to compete in this test of the best by being the best. The top anglers in the nation, either through the Bass Angler Sportsman Society's professional qualifying tournaments or through the B.A.S.S. Federation route, where the top 5 anglers on the winning 5 state federation teams represent their respective regions. The 41st Bassmaster competing here, Oklahoma's Charlie Reed, earned his invitation by winning last year's Bassmasters Classic Championship in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's the defending champion, the world's best. The 5 federation anglers fishing here include Ward Cole of Phoenix, Arizona, Bruce Ellison of Spartanburg, South Carolina, Gary Hardwick from Spiceland, Indiana, Gary Henderson of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Tim Sullivan of Del Mar, Delaware. The top 35 B.A.S.S. professional anglers qualified in 6 national tournaments across the country throughout the year. The total pounds and ounces of bass each caught in those tournaments determine his ranking. These professional bass anglers, the best in the world, include Roger Farmer, Dalton, Georgia, the last to qualify, number 35. 34th ranked Charlie Ingram, Columbia, Tennessee. Former fishery biologist Ken Cook, Mears, Oklahoma. George Cochran, North Little Rock, Arkansas. Last year's Angler of the Year, Jimmy Houston, Cookson, Oklahoma. Mickey Bruce, Buford, Georgia. Kenneth Walker, Round Rock, Texas. Newcomer Robert Tucker, Houston, Texas. Former Federation qualifier Kenneth Dusty Pine, Birdseye, Indiana. Former Californian Gary Klein, now of Irving, Texas. Veteran Basil Bacon, Springfield, Missouri. Paul Elias, Laurel, Mississippi, the 1982 Bassmasters Classic champion. Jack Chancellor, Phoenix City, Alabama, 1985 Bassmasters Classic champion. Jerry Ryan, Denver, North Carolina. Guy Aker, Cherryville, North Carolina. Georgia Invitational champion Randy Barringer, Waco, Texas. Classic rookie Joe Thomas, Cincinnati, Ohio. Harold Allen, Milam, Texas. First-timer Claude Fish Fishburne, Atlanta, Georgia. Randall Romick, Spring City, Pennsylvania. Rob Kilby, Royal, Arkansas. Tommy Martin, Hemp Hill, Texas, the 1974 Bassmasters Classic champion. Up-and-comer Tommy Biffle, Wagoner, Oklahoma. Rookie Ron Sheffield, Bismarck, Arkansas. Orlando Wilson, Woodstock, Georgia. First-year pro Mark Davis, Hot Springs, Arkansas. Woo Daves, Chester, Virginia. Hank Parker, Denver, North Carolina, and 1979 Bassmasters Classic champion. Zell Rowland, Montgomery, Texas. Roland Martin, Clewiston, Florida, winner of 16 B.A.S.S. tournaments. Texas Invitational winner David Wharton, Broadus, Texas. Larry Nixon, Hemphill, Texas. The 1983 Bassmasters Classic champion won on the Ohio River. New York Invitational winner David Fenton, Conroe, Texas. Rick Clunn, Montgomery, Texas. Three-time Bassmasters Classic champion, 1976, 77, and 1984. And the #1 ranked contender, 1987 B.A.S.S. Angler of the Year, Denny Brauer of Camdenton, Missouri. There's no question that winning the Bassmasters Classic is the greatest thrill in professional bass fishing. But more and more over the years, the Angler of the Year race has captured the serious attention of those competing on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. For to be named the top angler, to earn the honor through a year-long competition among your peers, is akin to being named MVP in other sports. And Denny Brauer is well aware of what this title means going into this year's Bassmasters Classic competition, because Angler of the Year honors barely escaped him the past 2 years, but not in 1987.
15 is the magic number, puts him in the lead for Angler of the Year.
15 pounds.
15 pounds, 6 ounces, which puts him back in the lead of the Angler of the Year.
I don't know, Ray. I lost a fish this afternoon that I really felt was the fish I needed to do it, and I hope when it's all said and done that fish didn't cost me anything. I had 14 good fish on the last 2 days, and I landed 13 of them, and when you know it, when number 13 bit, he got off. So I think I'm going to become superstitious before this is all over, but I'm just real thankful to have caught the fish I caught so far, and you know, if it works out that I win Angler of the Year, I don't know what to say, because I had a long way to come.
You had a long way to come, but you've had a heck of a day yesterday with over 20 pounds, and today's a remarkable catch. You do have some sweating to do. There's still a few other fellows that get past you before this day is out. Then you still got to worry about 2 more days to win the biggie.
Oh, you really do. You know, there's half the field's capable of popping a 20-pound stringer anytime they hit the water, and I'm sure Rick Clunn probably hasn't weighed in yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll give me an ulcer for the next few minutes. You know, if it's meant to be, Ray, all I can do is go out and fish as hard as I can every tournament. If it works out right, it works out. And if not this year, maybe next year.
You in there, kid. We're pulling for you. Let's give a nice hand. Denny Brauer, Camden, Missouri.
Not only is this Denny Brauer's biggest thrill in his professional bass angling career, but also his wife Shirley shares the thrill this last qualifying day.
Sure, I know it was tough, you know, both on you and Denny the last couple of years when he was so close to winning Angler of the Year, and it just seemed to slip away, you know, on the last day. But what was your reaction this year when you were sitting on the bank waiting to come in and you knew he had such a great chance?
Well, at first I couldn't believe it. Chad here all day long kept telling me, Dad's going to do it, he's going to do it this time. And I really had high hopes that he could do it after the first day. And very nervous all day long. I had to keep myself very busy. So when it was time to go to the weigh-in, we got there about an hour early, I believe, that day. And Denny was in towards the last flight. So we found a shady place. I thought, well, now I could relax for a little bit. Well, the guys started coming in, and I just kept getting a little more nervous all the time. And finally, Denny came in. Chad walked over, and we usually signal to one another whether it's good or it's bad. So Chad went over and was watching his dad get the fish out of the boat, and I was standing back off in the shade. And I saw him get his fish out. Well, I didn't think it looked like he had a whole lot. So, and they kept looking a little smaller as he got closer to the scale. But when he finally got to the scale, I was standing with Stella Hibden, which is one of my good friends, and she kept saying, are you going to be all right? And I said, well, yeah, as soon as he's weighed in. So he gets up there, and it flashes like 10 pounds something at first, and he needed more than that, and it kept flashing, and finally, Ray finally said 15 pounds. And of course, I screamed. I was standing on it. And of course, then we still had to wait for Rick to weigh in. So it wasn't too long after that, Rick finally pulled up, and he pulled up right in front where I was standing. And I thought, well, do I want to watch or not? Chad went right down to the boat. And we stood there and watched him, and we saw what he had, and his looked like they were getting bigger as he got to the scale. But then when it was finally all over with, I was just very excited, because it was a goal that Denny has wanted and come so close the last couple of years, and he finally did it.
No Bassmaster has ever won the Bass Angler of the Year race and the Bassmasters Classic the same year. It will be a big moment in sports history if it happens here in Louisville. And only one angler has the opportunity to do it.
Denny, you know, in just a couple of minutes now, we're going to be watching this, the Bassmaster Classic live and find out what really has happened. You know, we've been talking about it a few days, but what now, the few days prior to the Classic, what's your game plan? I mean, I know you don't know all the water, you haven't been on it all that much, but you understand, you know, running 120 miles one way looking for maybe 3 fish, or staying in, you know, the main pool and trying to catch a few small ones. Psychologically, what's the game plan going into the tournament?
Well, I try not to get locked into really a game plan, Chuck, because so many things have been happening on the river. I was able to get over 2 days to pre-fish, and I pre-fished on the upper pool. And I found a couple areas there that I thought looked real good and had the capabilities of possibly winning the tournament in. So the 2 days of practice, I'm going to go to the lower pool, which I've never seen before. I've heard some, you know, relatively good things about it. You've got an opportunity to run a long ways, which in some tournaments that I've done extremely well in, I did run a long ways to try to get away from the competition. The problem there is you're going to have very limited time to fish. You might have 3.5 hours.
Of the total day?
Of the total day. By the time you run down there, gas up, negotiate a lock, there's a lot of negative things about going that far.
Traffic?
So strategy is going to play a big part in this Classic for everybody. You're going to have to make the decision, are you possibly running to better water but giving up more fishing time, or do you stay close, get the fishing time, but maybe in less productive water? It's a tough decision. And
although there are favorites in this Bassmasters Classic, this championship, probably more than any other in history, started even. Only one angler, local Federation favorite Gary Hardwick of Indiana, had fished the particular pools on the Ohio River where this tournament is being contested. The waters these Bassmasters are fishing stretches 191 miles up and down the Ohio River and into its tributaries. Some of the anglers fishing in pre-practice found bass close by Louisville. Others located fish nearly 100 miles from the takeoff point. During the last week of pre-practice, which ended over a month ago, heavy rains muddied and swelled the Ohio River into an almost unfishable state, creating a less than productive pre-practice for those spending time here. But for anglers like rookie Classic contender Joe Thomas, everything you learn is an asset.
There's one. Got him. Good one? Pulled him like a good one, didn't he?
There's your Ohio River keeper. That's about what we've been catching, Chuck.
You'd take 5 or 6 of those a day, wouldn't you?
I tell you what, if I get me 5 or 6 of these a day, I'd be tickled pink. You know, they don't weigh but about a pound apiece. But what we were talking about before, you know, that consistency factor. If you can get 6 of them a day, you know, he's not but 12 inches long, but that's exactly what we need.
Do you think that this grass, like we're fishing here, will be fished a lot during the Classic, this type of...
There's no question about it. But here's the problem we have. You know, we fished a pretty long stretch of grass there and without a bite, and then, you know, then I get one to slam it. And what happens is you have little bitty areas of grass. This upper pool is just about totally lined with it. It'll run almost here, 40, 50 miles. About where the grass stops is the Kentucky River. The river's lined with it. And you have so many dead areas, and then there'll be a few good areas. The guy that's able to find one little good stretch of grass will have a tremendous advantage, and then the guy that can find 2 or 3 little patches holding would probably win the tournament. But I'm still kind of leery of concentrating on this grass. I'm still liking the wood in the river a lot better, the stumps and the laydowns in the river. seem to be a little bit more consistent, and you can count on a fish per place a lot better than you can a long grass line. You know, we're only going to have about a 7.5-hour day. So.
Although the Bassmasters Classic is a one-man personal challenge, these bass anglers often work together, sharing certain information that might help them both later on.
I found a few little grass lines that have some depressions, a little bit deeper water near them, and they were you going back? You were looking back on?
Yeah, I want to show you something down here.
Okay. It seemed like they had a little bit deeper water, a little depression right off them that worked a little bit better. You know, I think right here.
A lot of wood right here.
A lot of wood down in here. Now, I'll tell you what, I know for a fact that from the one day I spent in this area, that there's a lot of ski traffic that goes through here on the weekend, even sometimes during the week, because it's kind of a dead water zone in there. You might want to think about that and get out there, you know, fish it early and get out. Now, I did catch one about 3 1/4 pounds even before you got here. You know, I fished one day last month off the tip of that island. There's a big extended grass bed. In fact, it even shows the bar coming out on the map. Now, I think little isolated areas of grass like that are going to be a heck of a lot better than trying to fish a whole grass line.
You just can't do it. You can't take the time.
If you find a place, you know, we come up on some of those things and snap those crankbaits and run a buzzbait. If they don't hit around a stump, you know, like we think they should, I think this little worm setup's going to work. Now, you know, instead of bombarding them with a 1/2 ounce or a quarter ounce sinker and that big 6 or 7 inch worm, what do you think of this little shad-colored worm, that 3/0 hook and 10-pound line? Now, back home, I get a lot of bites on that. I catch a lot of fish just throwing this or this little shad-colored worm. If I'll throw it in a lot of times, I'll take a crankbait and fire it in where I see the fry and snap it a few times, and the fry will flick up out of the water. And then if you still don't get a bite, reel that in and toss that worm, and it'll excite the fry and then in turn excite the bass. And when this drops down through the fry, they got it.
Stay tuned as the Bassmasters Classic gets into full throttle on the Ohio River. The Bassmasters will be right back, live from Louisville, Kentucky. As these Bassmasters head out Thursday, the first day of competition following 2 days of practice, it's even money as to who will come in with the biggest bag of bass. The anglers are allowed to weigh in 7 bass daily, which must measure at least 12 inches long. However, since the Ohio River splits Kentucky and Indiana, the regulations in which state the anglers are fishing apply. Indiana has a 6 bass in possession limit, which means that whenever a Bassmaster has 6 bass in the live well and is fishing in Indiana waters, he must leave and go to Kentucky to catch his 7th bass. The fishermen leave the launch area each morning at 7 a.m. and must return by 2:30 p.m. That's 7.5 hours. Although there are bass up and down the entire stretches of the McAlpin and Cannelton pools and their tributaries, it's general knowledge that the larger bass are in Cannelton, in areas nearly 100 miles from the launch site at Cox Park in Louisville. This is where tournament strategy comes in. To go south into the Cannelton pool, it's necessary to lock through. Depending on barge traffic, this could take as long as an hour each direction. Add 80 or more miles running one direction, heavy river traffic, time lost at gas stops, and the fishing time is cut to as little as 3 hours. It's the same set of conditions if a classic contender elects to head north toward the Kentucky River to areas as far as 80 or 90 miles away. If a far-ranging fisherman averages 1 bass per hour, he might weigh in only 3 fish, while another angler working close in could weigh in the 7 bass daily limit. The difference is weight of the bass. The Bassmaster gambling with the long run must feel comfortable that his 3 or 4 bass will weigh more than 6 or 7 bass caught in areas known for smaller fish. Either way, it's a gamble.
I'm going to practice 2 days with close. If I don't catch any fish, I'm going to make the run, which is going to give me about 3.5 hours fishing. But if I get down there, I think I can catch a limit of fish. I caught a good limit of fish the last day I was here. And if the guy catches the limit a day, he's going to win this thing.
And I think it's a single fish pattern tournament. In other words, I don't think there's any schools of fish here. I think you'll pull up on a little point, a little sandbar, a little boat dock, or a little rock pile, catch 1 fish. You might have to hit 10 or 15 more spots like this. So it's going to be a lot of running and gunning. This strict, strong, fast pattern approach. Efficiency will pay off, and the real young, energetic guys that are 100% efficient will win the tournament. I hope I'm that guy.
Well, my strategy is pretty simple. One thing, you know, I've got a terrible handicap. I can't talk, and I hadn't been able to talk. So the biggest thing I'm going to have to do the next 2 days is get my voice back, because if I don't have my voice back, the fish won't know that I'm coming. But once I get my voice back, they're going to know I'm there, because I talk to them as I go down the bank. And when they hear me talking, they know I'm coming. I'm going to throw that little spinner bait in there, and I'm going to be chunking crankbaits underhanded, and I'm going to be chunking them little worms. I'm going to be throwing and whining, and I'm going to beat you, Roland Martin, and I'm going to beat you, Rick Clunn, and Denny Brauer. I'm going to beat you, too.
The classic contestants are paired with a different member of the news media each day. The equipment furnished to the contestants is identical, like the fully rigged Ranger bass boats, which have been the official boat of the Bassmasters Classic for 16 years, a span of time in which much has changed in bass fishing, as can well attest Forrest Wood, the man who built the first Ranger boat.
I'm Forrest Wood. We started building bass boats in a filling station almost 20 years ago here in Flippin. Professional tournaments have necessitated tremendous advancement in the product from a safety, performance, utility, and value standpoint. We are delighted to be building the 16th Bassmaster Classic boat that's used in the test of the best, one at a time. I'd like to show you how we do it.
Classic 17, the World Championship of Professional Bass Angling. Several anglers, knowing well the risk of locking through and making the long run downriver, decide to gamble. It's a critical decision, because for every minute they're late, the anglers forfeit 1 pound of bass. After 15 minutes, they're automatically disqualified for that day. And for this angler, the gamble didn't pay off.
7 pounds, 4 ounces. 7 pounds, 4 ounces for Gary Clunn. Now, you would be the new leader. But Gary, you were tardy, I understand. I don't know, we haven't had the official tally, but I can ask you, how many minutes were you late?
Well, Ray, I'm going to be minus a little bit of weight there. I believe I was 9 minutes late getting back in, and it's a shame that you work so hard and you run the miles that I've ran and burn the gas that I have, and you have a little misunderstanding and you just don't, things just don't fall in place. But I guess that's competition, and I'm going to start out tomorrow and hopefully just follow my game plan, catch 7 pounds of fish.
What about the lock?
Ray, really, the problem that I have with the lock works great. If there's somebody there that would open up the doors when you're there and run you through the thing when you're supposed to go through. I'm going to go ahead and go through the lock again. I got one little area. It was an area that I really felt confident that I could win the tournament out of it. I still feel that I could probably catch maybe 15, 16 pounds of bass out of that particular area. I was talking to Rick Clunn about the area during practice, and probably one of the advantages that I have to the area is that I have to run so far to get to it is I can't fish it out. I only really get to fish there for a couple hours and I have to run back. So there's plenty of fish in the area. I caught probably 25 fish today.
But for one angler who made the long run, the results were different.
One more nice welcome for Guy Ecker. A good job, Guy. Got 3 bass and 3 deceased. The weight?
7 pounds, 13 ounces.
7 pounds, 13 ounces. You take off 2 ounces of each dead fish. That gives you 6 ounces off of 13. That gives you what?
7, 7.
7, 7. That's 2 good numbers. You realize you are 2 pounds and 6 ounces above the leader.
Well, I went, I told you I was going to make the long run. I went 220-some miles today.
How'd that Ranger ride?
Well, it rode good, but I didn't think the wind would be bad when I came back, and we had a heck of a ride back. It was a rough ride, and my partner, I can't say enough because I know he took a beating, and this morning when we went out, I seen him have a pillar with him. I said, I wonder what in the world he's got that pillar for, I told him it was going to be a long ride about 2.5 hours, and I said, well, maybe he's going to sleep on the way down. But I know why he took it. He took it for the rear end.
What did you do for your rear end?
I held on to the steering wheel.
All right, you had a long run. A lot of wakes out there, I presume.
Right. I went down to catch or get 5 strikes, and the area I'm in has got big fish in it. And, that's the decision that you got to make a run like that. If they're good fish, you don't take 3 or 4 good fish to win the tournament.
So how many actual hours did you have to fish this area?
2 hours and 15 minutes.
The rest of the time was riding?
Riding. Now, I missed one fish, looked like it weighed 4 or 5 pounds, which I know where it's at. I'm going to go back and see if I can catch it.
For many, the fishing was tough, double tough.
1 pound and 1 ounce, Zell. And look, I got to make a joke out of that. That's not a 0, but it ain't a whole lot.
I'll agree, but you don't realize that fish weighed 3 pounds when I caught him. And after 200 miles of coming down the river and them barge weights, he exercised a lot.
Day 2, and Cox Park Landing here in Louisville overflows with spectators who come to watch the dramatic takeoff and cheer on their favorites in this World Championship. Even though several of the anglers were late on Thursday and were penalized the total pounds and ounces of bass they caught, some still elect to head through the locks for the long run downriver to areas known for larger bass. Anglers like First Day leader Guy Ecker. Once again, the trip proved successful.
Guy Ecker, by the way, you weren't the one that the Bassmaster television crew shot catching that fish.
Right, it sure was. I caught 2 fish, and they got me catching both of those, and you don't want to know what I did when I missed one about 3 pounds. And I said, you know what I did? He said, I seen the expression on your face. I know what happened. had a fish come up and blow on a spinnerbait, just didn't want it. And I threw on the log beside of it twice with the spinnerbait, and I said, they gotta be a fish in there. And I picked up a worm, a gill raker worm, in that little hole and socked it to him and went around the boat, jumped twice, and he was filming the whole deal. And I said, well, she's about ready. I said, I'll jump her up in the boat. And I tried to jump the fish up, she didn't come. Went back down on the boat again. Next time she came around, she was fixing to jump. I just jumped her up in the boat.
This is this lady right here.
Yes, sir.
Well, all right, that would be fantastic. We'll see it tomorrow on the television program. All right, here we go. This fish has got to be 2 pounds to take the lead.
3 pounds.
3 pounds, 11 ounces. That puts you almost 2 pounds in the lead. That's it, folks. Let's give him a good hand. Boom.
But the lead on this second day would quickly change.
7 bass are all alive. And we hope that you realize now, before you hit the scales, that you have a chance to pull the lead. Guy Ecker has 11 pounds and 2 ounces, and you've got to have about, I'll make a guess and say you've got to have about, how much, 7 pounds? 6.5, 7 pounds to put him in the lead? 5.5 pounds, all right, hit the scales. Let's don't keep the fish out. Watch carefully now.
5 pounds, 13 ounces.
6 pounds, 13 ounces, we got a new leader.
Today, the final day of Classic 17. These anglers will share $126,000 in prize money. And one of them, the 1987 Bassmasters Classic champ, will take home $50,000. This competition is over. And in just a few minutes, you'll see what has happened today and watch live action as the final contestants weigh in. The Bassmasters will be right back live from Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky.
Live in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, Dusty Time. Dusty, I'd like you to meet Governor Collins, governor of this. She's here to see you. You're a big fella, and we're just pleased that you're here. Dusty?
It's awful nice to be here. I had a good Classic. See, I've caught 4 times as many fish this year as I caught last year.
That's right. You had almost a zero last year. Now, Governor, we'll weigh him in. 2 bass, total weight.
2 pounds, 2 pounds 1.
2 pounds, 1 ounce. There you are, Dusty. Thank you, sir. Randy Behringer of China Springs, Texas. He's a big man, a strong fisherman, has had a very, very slow tournament. This is very uncommon for Randy Behringer. He's 42 years old, has had an outstanding career, even though brief, with some $64,000 of money winnings. He has probably gone for broke knowing his techniques of the past. If he starts out behind on the last day, he goes for big fish. Question, will he have a bass or will he not? No plastic bag, no bass. It's Randy Behringer to the showers. Our leader, George Cochran, still continuing to lead with 13 pounds, 1 ounce. Guy Ecker, 11 pounds and 2 ounces, followed closely by Larry Nixon, our 3rd place contender, and has not come in, I might add, with 9 pounds, 5 ounces. Zell Rowland in 4th and Jimmy Houston 5th. Now, Ken Cook has just come in, and I believe Ken has 2 bass. All right, Ken, come right on. Nice hand, folks. Ken, fishing is tough on the Ohio, but you brought in 2 more bass to go with the 5 pounds and 6 ounces you started with.
Well, Ray, I'm consistent. I've caught 2 every day. I'm sure glad the people here are a lot friendlier than the fish, I'll tell you.
All right, 2 bass. And the weight?
2 pounds, 2 ounces.
2 pounds, 2 ounces. Give him a good hand. That'll move him up from 13th place. Ken Cook, thank you, sir. All the best to you. Our next young man is a man from Cincinnati, Ohio, fishing with us for about 4 or 5 years. Nice welcome for Joe Thomas, Cincinnati, Ohio. This young man has the distinction of being one of the younger fishermen in the tournament, but when yesterday was completed, our 2nd day, young Joe Thomas, 9th place with 7 pounds even. So he started out with that weight. He's got his family here and all his sweetheart. He's a single man, by the way. Fishing his first Bassmasters Classic after several years of trying to be up with the big boys. Ha ha! He takes a plastic bag. Joe Thomas, Cincinnati, Ohio. $24,000 winning just from his tournament activities. He brought out, as I see, it appears, one bass. And that's a nice bass, nice keeper bass. That fish will go close to 2 pounds. All right, Joe Thomas coming to the scales. Let's give a nice welcome, folks. 9th place when he started this morning. Joe, you made a move, son. Proud of you. 2 bass, and the weight?
2 pounds, 14 ounces.
2 pounds, 14 ounces. Let's give him a nice hand. Joe Thomas, we're proud of you.
Thank you. Ray, I'd just like to say, first of all, I'm just proud to be here, and I tell you, anybody that's a bass fisherman, you can't imagine the feeling. Now I know what I worked for long years for to get to the Classic. When I rolled in this arena and looked at all these people, it's unbelievable. And I'd just like to thank God for giving me the ability, the mental and physical ability to do what I do for a living. And I'd like to give a long overdue personal thank you to my mom and my dad and my girlfriend Becky for supporting me through all these long, tough years, and I'm just proud to be here.
That is, folks. Thank you. Joe Thomas. Let's give a nice welcome to Mr. Zell Rowland from Montgomery, Texas. Zell Rowland, 4th place when he started this morning. 8 pounds and 14 ounces to his credit. This young man has an outstanding record. He was the only man ever to begin his fishing career with us when he was 13 years old. 13 years old for Zell Rowland. Zell is now 30 years old, so quick arithmetic will tell you he's been on our trail for 17 years. He's placed in the money 21 times out of 43 attempts. Winnings to date, just from our circuit, $116,000. 4th place, 8 pounds and 14 ounces, and he's coming to the scales with what appears to be 2 bass. All right, Mr. Zell Rowland. Fishing's tough on the Ohio River, but you're going to move yourself perhaps from 4th place up in the standings with these 2 bass. Dewey Kendrick is putting him on the scales. Both largemouth bass, and the weight?
1 pound, 15
1 pound and 15 ounces. Let's give him a nice hand, folks. I can tell you they're solid gold. Our next fisherman coming up from Laurel, Mississippi. This man is a professional model. He fishes full-time, but he spends 3 months a year as a professional model for the Smith Brothers Cough Drop Company. Paul lives in Laurel, Mississippi. He is 7th place when this morning began with 7 pounds and 9 ounces. Paul's been on our trail for some time. He's 36 years old. His pretty wife, Renee, is sitting over here. They have 4 children back home in Laurel, Mississippi. And this is the 7th time he's qualified for the Bassmasters Classic. Paul Elias won a Classic tournament just a few years ago in Montgomery, Alabama, on what is now called Lake Montgomery. He blew everybody away with that victory. His winnings, up until this moment, $124,000. If he can bring out of that hopper he has there in the Ranger bass boat as much as 5 pounds, he will pull in the lead. I see 1 bass. All right, we've got 2 bass. All right. 7th place with 7 pounds and 9 ounces when he started this morning. 5 pounds will put him right up in the big money. Remember, $50,000 for the first prize winner, the man with the most weight. And here comes Paul Elias from Laurel, Mississippi. Paul, I was just kidding about your cough drop experience. I've been teasing you about that for a lot of years, and you've always been a good sport. But you do look like the profile. Hold that head right there. Looks just like the Smith brothers man.
Yeah, Ray, you've done that quite a while now. I don't think anybody believes it anymore, though. I did have somebody come up to me the other day and ask me how much they paid me for that, so I guess still a few people still believe that.
All right, we have 3 bass alive. And your weight, Paul Elias?
3 pounds,
3 pounds, 5 ounces. Let's give him a nice hand. Paul Elias, Laurel, Mississippi. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, next gentleman coming aboard. You recognize this man. He is one of those come-from-behind men. The all-time money winner on the Bass Tournament Trail, Mr. Larry Nixon. A nice hand. Larry Nixon lives in Hemp Hill, Texas. Has been on our trail for a number of years, has an outstanding record. He is 3rd place in this tournament with 9 pounds and 5 ounces. His wife Amy is with him. Plastic Bag City. All right. All-time money winner on the Bass Tournament Trail with $418,000 to his credit. And I see 1 bass. Let's count them, folks. And that's it, Larry Nixon says. All right. Come right on up, Larry. We'll measure them right here if they need it. Larry, you went for broke, obviously, and it didn't pay off with any bigger fish.
Well, I really felt like if I could catch 7 little swimmers today, I'd have a good chance to win the tournament. And, you know, in a tournament like this, in fact, any tournament competition, every day is another practice day when you're out there by yourself and you're looking for fish. So, you know, I eliminated a lot of stuff, and today it just didn't pan out.
Let's weigh these 2 fish, Larry. Remember now, you have 9 pounds and 5 ounces before today. The weight today for these 2 bass.
2 pounds, 2 ounces.
2 pounds, 2 ounces for the 2 bass. Let's give him a good hand, folks. He made a move and didn't quite make it. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Ray.
All right. Our next angler coming aboard. A man who led this tournament the first day, I believe, from Cherryville, North Carolina. Let's have a nice welcome for Guy Aker. All right, we have 47 years old, one of the older fellows in the tournament, but a very tough angler. He started out this morning in 2nd place with 11 pounds and 2 ounces, only 15 ounces behind the leader. If he can catch as much as 2 pounds, he will pull into the lead ahead of our leader. All right, we've got a chance. His wife Pat's here, anxiously waiting. Pat, stand up, dear. Where are you? You can't see from where you are. All right, Pat, watch him, honey. $50,000 riding on these fish. If he can get 2 pounds of bass, he's pulled into the lead. Here we go. 1 bass. You had 11 pounds and 2 ounces when you started this morning. You've got 1 bass, which is going to go about, would you say, roughly a pound?
Pound 3 ounces.
All right, watch the weight.
1 pound even.
1 pound even. Now, this will move you up within 1 pound. As a matter of fact, you're 15 ounces on the leader.
Well, you know, I shot for it again. I won a 224-mile run. I didn't win the Classic, but I set a record for the most miles in one tournament, 1,120 miles.
All right, let's give a hand for that one, folks. Rick Clunn, fantastic angler. Rick has won 3 Bassmasters Classic, the only man in history to do such a thing. His wife, Jerry, has been a great support of him all of these years. He is fishing his 14th consecutive Bassmasters Classic tournament. All right, Rick Clunn, the question, do you have fish? You started out this morning with 8 pounds. All right, 8 pounds. Rick is a man who won 2 Bassmasters Classics back-to-back. $321,000 winnings to his credit.
He holds the all-time record for a classic win. Biggest bass of the tournament. Got to be the biggest bass of the tournament. Rick Clunn. Champions bring in champion bass. All right, this is one more spectacular bass. Now, you had 8 pounds when this morning started. This bass has got to go over 3 pounds. Watch the scale.
4 pounds.
4 pounds, 13 ounces. Big bass of the tournament. May we see the fish. Let's take another photograph. I tell you, this is a beautiful specimen of largemouth bass. Let's give him a hand, folks. That is a marvelous bass. 4 pounds, 13 ounces. That's a knockout, do it, Kendrick?
The beautiful fish, the biggest fish of the week.
All right, let's put her back. Let's put her right back in the river. Now, quickly tell me, and I must know this because the fishermen here are curious, where in the world did you catch that 4 pound, 13 ounce bass?
Well, I wanted to stay close and win this thing close by, but I got myself 5 pounds behind, so I knew I had to make a long run to some big fish down south. That was my only chance to catch up, and I knew I wouldn't get many bites, but I felt that was my one chance. So I ran down there today, and I got 3 bites, and one of them was this one, and I knew when I caught this one I had a chance to win it, and I just never got the other bite, and I headed back. This is remarkable, and I hope we can live up to all y'all's expectations, and I'm very impressed. Thank you for being here.
All right. Now his hand, folks. Rick Clunn. Folks, the next man is a man who was declared Angler of the Year in this past year. Outstanding fisherman from Camden, Missouri. A nice welcome for Denny Brauer. Denny Brauer, who joined our circuit a few years ago, he handled bricks, he's a brick masonry business, I believe. He's 38 years old. His wife, Shirley, has supported him all the way. You saw him earlier in our show, and he's a remarkable angler, but from all indications, he has no fish. Come on up. I want you to take one bow. For fellow, you deserve it. You've done an outstanding job this year. Denny, I know it's kind of humbling when you started out with 11 pounds and 11th place, I might add, with 6 pounds and 1 ounce this morning, which was no slouchy performance. But you zipped today. What happened?
Well, Ray, in this tournament, really, there's only one winner, and I felt I could go back and do the same things I've been doing the last couple of days and probably catch a couple more little old knotheads. But, hey, you know, I wanted to try to win this tournament. Nobody's ever won Angler of the Year in the Classic in the same year, and I felt it just wouldn't be right if I wouldn't give it that shot. So I made a long run, only had a couple hours of fishing time, to a school of fish that had come up in practice, and I knew the odds weren't very good that I'd get into them, but I gave it a try, and they didn't come up, and I didn't catch any fish. You know, it was just one of those things, but I feel good that I gave it the shot, and maybe next time things will work out better.
Denny, you're a great sport and a great fisherman. Let's give him a nice hand, folks. Denny Brauer. George is an outstanding fisherman from North Little Rock, Arkansas. He's fishing his 5th Classic. He is our leader at the moment, but I'm told we have one more fisherman that's outside, and the word is he has a good stringer of fish. And we'll have to wait and see. I thought you were the last fisherman, but I understand there's another sleeper outside. All right, George Cochran. George was the leader yesterday with 13 pounds, 1 ounce. He said, I've got fish. He caught a limit of 7 bass yesterday. Outstanding weight of 6 pounds, 13 ounces. George is 37 years old. His wife, Debbie, is with him on this trip, and he is sweating bullets right now. Come right on up here. I understand there's another gentleman outside with a good creel of fish. Now, George, you are acclaimed to be from North Little Rock, and you have never made the Bassmasters Classic. The man outside holds the fate that you're going to have to sweat it out sitting on the side until he gets in. Your 2 bass today will be weighed and added to your weight of 13 pounds and 1 ounce of yesterday. And these 2 bass today weigh a sum of 2 pounds, 4 ounces. All right. Now, I'm not going to say this to disturb you in any way, but I understand the man outside has a good creel of fish. I know they go for broke man, but we don't know how many or the weight. So if you would, and don't mind, stand right over here and wait until the next man comes in. Let's give him a good hand, folks, and pray for him. All right, here comes our final man who has a run at the championship. Young man fishing his first Bassmasters Classic from Phoenix, Arizona. An outstanding young man and a great fisherman, young Ward Cole. Ward Cole. The word is he has bass. This young man is won the tournament that qualified him for this event out in the Western Division. Very serious, deadly serious fisherman. Does very little talking. He smiles a lot but doesn't tell any secrets. Ward Cole. Does he have fish? Yes, he does. All right. He's got to have weight. I see 1 bass coming out of the tank. No bluegill. These are bass. All right. Well, I was afraid of this. He's got 2 bass already, do he? 3. Let's count them, folks. Every one of them's worth $2,000, $3,000. All right, 4 bass. That's it. All right, now we'll weigh them quickly and see what the tally is. Ward Cole, step up here, son. That's good creel. You're the only man that has a chance to pull it to the lead. It's going to be terribly close for you, and I know you're sweating. You've got a man over here named George Cochran who's looking at $50,000 or a lot less. The weight for 4 bass for young Ward Cole. His wife Brenda's watching closely. Watch the scale.
3 pounds.
3 pounds.
12 ounces. 12
ounces. Let's give him a nice hand. But unfortunately, we have us a new winner. That's George Cochran of North Little Rock, Arkansas. Debbie, you just relax. I've never heard anybody cry so hard over $50,000. George, you're cooler than a jailhouse hammer.
I'm shaking.
Well, I feel the tremors, but I'll tell you, this is a great day for you, George.
Well,
tell us what happened.
Well, I never cranked my big motor in the 3 days of the tournament except to just take off. I think the trick to this tournament was spend all 7.5 hours that we had to fishing and not running. So basically all I did is take off when everybody did and come right back to where we took off and put the trolling motor down and fish within 1/4 of a mile each side of where we took off. And
well, Guy Anchor traveled over 1,000 miles.
Well, at 12:15 I caught my first keeper today. I thought I done blew it. And 1:15 I caught my second keeper, and I thought if I catch 2 more, 3 more keepers, I probably could take it. But I didn't realize that everybody else was having as tough a time as I was, so I was a nervous wreck.
Let me interrupt you. This is a crown that very few men will ever own. This is your trophy, the victory at the Bassmasters Classic. Folks, let's give him one big hand. George, we're all proud of you. What do you, give us some commentary on your feelings at this moment, in one line.
I've got cotton in my mouth. I can hardly talk. I'm so excited. It's the best day of my life. This is what I dreamed of, is winning the Classic. This is my 6th time to qualify for the Classic. And the first 3 times I qualified, I was just tickled to be here. And the last 3 times I was wanting to win. And I just can't believe it.
Well, thanks to both of you. It's a great victory. Folks, let's give them a great hand. We congratulate you as our champion. And folks, we appreciate you staying tuned to our Classic today, and we'll see you next year, the Bassmasters Classic. Thanks very much.